Ahead of the country's presidential election on May 4th, signs were already clear. The outcome was set to mirror November's controversial vote, one that was ultimately annulled due to alleged Russian interference and which saw far-right candidate Calin Georgescu disqualified. But disqualifying one candidate didn't slow the tide. In stepped George Simion, the next figurehead of Romania's far right, who not only filled the void, but surged ahead, capturing 41% of the vote in the first round. His margin of victory eclipsed even that of Georgescu's, setting the stage for a tense runoff this Sunday. Simion now faces independent candidate Nicusor Dan, who secured 21% in the opening round. Though polls suggest a tighter race this time, unless there's a dramatic spike in voter turnout, Simion is likely to emerge as Romania's next president. If that happens, it won't just be a symbolic victory. Simion would wield real power, appointing the prime minister, shaping foreign policy, and commanding the armed forces in a nation of nearly 20 million people. And for many Romanians, this shift represents a troubling turn. But this didn't come out of nowhere. The far right's rise in Romania has been years in the making. Economic stagnation, mass emigration, and deep public distrust in mainstream parties have created fertile ground for anti-establishment rhetoric. Simion and his Alliance for the Union of Romanians have capitalized on these frustrations, especially in regions hardest hit by poverty and unemployment. Despite solid GDP growth on paper, Romania remains one of the EU's poorest performing countries in social metrics. Nearly 30% of the population is at risk of poverty. Many earn less than €5 an hour. And even with wage hikes, day-to-day life for most Romanians remains a struggle. That's the legacy of decades of free market reforms, low taxes, and shrinking public services. Policies celebrated by many in the West, but felt differently by Romanians. A flat 16% corporate tax and 10% personal income tax haven't brought prosperity, just budget shortfalls and rising debt. Yet neither of Sunday's candidates offers a true break from this model. Nicusor Dan, Bucharest's current mayor, has campaigned on fighting corruption, but supports spending cuts and rarely addresses economic justice. He recently described the political right as favoring work over laziness, a controversial view in a country with one of the EU's highest in work poverty rates. Meanwhile, the Social Democratic Party, once considered Romania's center-left, didn't even field a candidate. Instead, it backed a conservative who failed to advance. And its recent coalition with the Liberal Party introduced austerity plans that targeted students and pensioners before collapsing. So the far right's rise is less about ideology and more about absence. A vacuum of credible alternatives has driven voters, especially in rural areas and among the Romanian diaspora, into Simion's arms. In 36 out of 47 districts, he won, and over 60% of overseas voters backed him. But for all his populist talk, Simion's policies offer little substance for working-class Romanians. His economic proposals, cuts to welfare, tax breaks for business, and vague promises like building 1 million affordable homes serve more as political branding than real reform. Observers draw parallels to Hungary under Viktor Orban, where nationalism cloaks a reality of elite consolidation and foreign corporate favor. Simion's talk of state control over resources likely won't challenge the EU's corporate landscape. So, as Romanians head to the polls this Sunday, the stakes are not just about left or right, but about whether anyone is truly offering a way forward. Because despite their differences in style and international alignment, Both Simeon and Dan are cut from the same economic cloth, serving different segments of the business class, while leaving everyday Romanians behind. What Romania needs now is more than a new president. It needs a new political vision, one that prioritizes job creation, strong public services, and genuine economic security. Because without it, the country isn't just shifting right, it's sliding into the abyss.